analysis part. Is it? Collected to base bias. So this is the collected to base bias circuit. So in this case, you can see that between the base resistance is directly connected between the base terminal and the collector terminal. So in our previous cases, this was connected, the base resistance was connected between the base and plus VCC, but in collector to base bias, we are connecting the base resistance directly to the collector. So this base resistance is lying between the base and the collector directly. So that's why it is called collector to base bias. So in this case, again, when we consider the current through this, so the current which is flowing through RC will be the current which is the
IC
sum
plus
of
IB, sir.
IC plus IB. And this IB part will be flowing here. But when we talk about the current across RC, it will be the sum of IC plus IB. Now we will do the analysis. So for analysis, as we know that we are going to consider two cases. One is input circuit and other one is output circuit. So for input circuit, or it is also known as the base circuit. So when we apply KVL to the base circuit, so in this way, if you are going to apply the KVL, then it is VCC minus RC into IC plus IB. Coming here, it is minus IB RB. Coming to this, here it is between base and emitter. So that's why minus VBE. Coming over here, the current is IE. So minus IE RE is equal to 0. So here collected to base bias, sometimes in some of the circuits we consider RE, in some of the circuits we will not consider RE. If RE is present in the circuit, you consider it. Otherwise, just leave this IE RE. Okay. Now coming to this, so what is our main intention in finding out the input analysis or in applying analysis to the or doing the analysis at the input circuit?
Finding VCC, sir.
Finding VCC.
The value.
Finding
Finding
IC
IC.
and VCC, sir.
So main thing is to find out the IB, the base current. To find the base current, we are going to apply the KVL to the input circuit. So now, first is to find IB. From IB, we are going to find IC. Later on, we are going to find VCE. That
VCC.
so this VCE, we are going to get it from the output circuit. So now by considering this equation, so now we need to convert the current parameter, whatever the currents we are having, we need to convert it into the base current. So we are having IC here, we are having IE here. So now we need to convert it into IB. So we have a formula for IC to in the form of IB. So that is IC is equal to beta times IB. So now this becomes VCC minus RC into beta IB plus IB minus IB RB minus VBE minus. So coming to this IE, so now we need to write this IE in terms of IB. So for that, we are having our basic formula. IE is equal to IB plus IC. So again converting, it becomes IB plus beta IB. So this can be written as IB into 1 plus beta. So now wherever we are having IE, we can substitute it as IB into 1 plus beta. So now substituting it in the above equation, we are going to get VCC
So
minus
can you explain the previous step once more? So
this
after
step.
substituting IC equals to beta IB, how do we get that equation? Can you explain that?
See, VCC minus RC beta IB plus IB. Here in the
Yes, sir.
place of IC, we have obtained it. So now
Yes, sir.
IB minus IBRB minus VBE minus IERE is equal to 0. The same thing, whatever we are having here.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Now we are going to substitute IE value. So now this becomes beta IB plus IB minus IBRB minus VBE minus IB into 1 plus beta is equal to 0. So our main intention, since our main intention is to find IB, now here
So 1
also,
plus beta into RE, no, sir.
which one?
So the last term,
Yeah,
IB into 1 plus beta into RE.
yeah. So here also we can take out in this, we can take out IB common. So it becomes 1 plus beta, right? When I take common in this IB,
Yes,
I'm
sir.
take common. So now, wherever this three cases, we are going to take IB common. So next, VCC minus IB into IB into 1 plus beta. This you can take it as common from this, sorry, these two cases, we can take IB, only IB since we don't have 1 plus beta. So when I take IB common, it becomes RC into beta plus 1 minus, plus RB plus RE minus VBE is equal to 0.
So RE into beta plus 1.
Yeah, here again only 1 plus beta we are having. And so VCC minus IB, again in these two cases 1 plus beta is common. So we can write it as 1 plus beta into RC plus RE plus RB minus VBE is equal to 0. So now we need to take the common term, the required term is IB. So IB is equal to VCC minus VBE divided by the rest of the terms will go down. 1 plus beta into RC plus RE plus RB. And we know that beta is very high compared to 1. So on that basis, we can write IB is equal to VCC minus VBE divided by beta into RC plus RE plus RB. So this is the required equation for the base current. Okay. So now in the next step, we are going to find out what is the next step? Usually what we do?
So
We'll
we
have
find
the-
IC.
KVL to outer loop.
Yeah. Before that, we'll find IC, right? So
Yes,
IC is equal to beta into IB.
IB.
So IC is equal to beta into whatever the equation, let us take it as equation number 1. That equation we rewrite VCC minus VBE divided by beta into RC plus RE plus RB. So this is the required equation for the collector current. So now, after this, we are having the next part is applying KVL to the outer loop, or it is also known as collector circuit. So when we are applying the KVL to this, so here we get one more parameter, that is VCE, collector to emitter voltage. So now applying KVL to this, we get VCC minus RC into IC plus IB minus VCE minus IE RE is equal to 0. So we need equation for VCE. So VCE is equal to VCC minus RC into IC plus IB minus IE RE. So this is the required equation for VCE. In order to find out, since we don't know what is IE, we can write IE in terms of IB as we have already seen. So we can rewrite this equation as RC into IC plus IB minus, so we have already know that it is IB into 1 plus beta into RE. So in the same way, even we can replace IC by beta IB, similar to what we have done in the last case, or since we already know what is IC here, we can retain that IC value VCE. Okay, this is the required equation for the collector to emitter voltage. So this is the DC analysis of the collector to base bias. So with respect to this, what are the again we are having the drawbacks with respect to the collector to base bias. See, whenever we are going to connect collector and base directly, so during that time, what happens? Usually the gain is going to reduce. That is one of the drawback which we are having compared to other circuits. Here, since we are connecting collector to base directly, then the gain is going to reduce. So again, one more thing, since here also we are using a single RV resistance, that is base resistance, the base voltage might not be fixed. If there is any fluctuation in RB, then again there will be fluctuation in the base voltage. When base voltage is going to fluctuate, then again we are going to have fluctuation in the base current, so which leads to the fluctuation in the collector current. And one more important thing, what you can see is, what are the two parameters on which the Q point is going to depend? The operating point is going to depend upon two parameters.
Yes, so it depends on IC and VCE.
Yes, very good. So it is dependent upon IC and VCE. These are the two parameters on which the Q point is going to depend. But look into the equation, whatever we have obtained, IC. So IC is dependent upon the beta values.
Yes,
So
sir.
here also we are having beta, here also we are having beta. So it depends upon the beta factors. So since it is going to depend upon the beta factor, so as I have told earlier in earlier case, if a transistor is going to be replaced, see now I have transistor, this is, let us take, this is one transistor, I call this as transistor A. Okay, so transistor A. So now I'm going to just replace this portion. This transistor I'm going to replace. Rest of the resistors will be same as it is. I have some transistor B. So I'm going to replace, I'm going to remove this transistor A and I'm going to put transistor B. But both of them belongs to the same category, same the model. That is, if I take a SL100, it's a series. So both of them belongs to SL, both are SL100 only. So both seems to be having 100 gain, 100 current gain, that beta is equal to 100. But as I have told, based upon the doping values or based upon the doping factor, the current gain might, the beta value will be independent from one transistor to another transistor. So this beta value will be fixed for a given transistor, but this varies from one transistor to another transistor. So when you are going to replace this transistor with transistor B, then this entire calculations, whatever you have done, that has to be done again. So the base current is going to change again. The base current is going to change. Collector current is going to change. VC value is going to change. So this is entirely dependent upon transistor. So the values are going to be varying based upon the transistor. So when you are going to replace this transistor, again we are having the change in the base current, change in the collector current. So you cannot expect the same output. Just for an example, see, this is one amplifier circuit. Let us assume that we have designed this amplifier and given to some particular person for some application. He wants an amplifier, so we have designed it and we have given that amplifier circuit to him, and we have assured him that this is the output voltage what you will be getting from this particular transistor. So this is the output what you'll be getting. So he'll be using it for some time, and he'll be having that assurance that this is the amount of current he'll be getting and he'll be using it. After some time, the transistor is going to burn out or the transistor stops working. Then we have to replace, since we have sold that that amplifier, we have to replace that transistor. So, I mean that amplifier we have to repair it and give it to him. So now what we will do, we are going to replace this transistor and repair that particular device. Now, what happens in that situation? Will he be getting the same exact value what he was getting before?
No, sir.
No, sir.
So he'll be not getting the exact values, he'll be getting some different values. So just think on this. The reliability issue will come here. Our circuit is not reliable. When I put one transistor, it was giving some value. When I put other transistor, it is going to give some other values. So the circuit is not reliable since it is dependent upon beta. And beta is going to change from transistor to transistor. If even a slight change makes a lot of difference in the output. Okay, this is one of the drawback. So from this three circuits, whatever we have discussed, we came to know that one of the major drawback what we are having is the dependency on the beta. So many of the values are dependent upon beta, and also we can observe that if there is fluctuation in the base resistance, because since it is a single base resistance, so again there will be fluctuation in the base current, so on. That is one of the drawback. So to overcome all these things, we are having our last biasing technique, that is voltage divider bias. So this voltage divider bias, why it is called voltage divider bias? See, because we have a circuit called voltage divider circuit. So voltage divider circuit means we'll use two resistors and here we are going to take the output R1, R2. This kind of circuit is known as voltage divider circuit. So the main advantage of this kind of circuit is, see, this is not voltage divider bias circuit, it is just voltage divider circuit. Don't get confused. It is voltage divider circuit. When you put this voltage divider circuit to transistor, it becomes voltage divider bias. Okay, this is just the voltage divider circuit. When you connect the transistor to this voltage divider circuit, it becomes voltage divider bias. Now, what is the advantage of this voltage divider circuit? See, the main advantage of voltage divider circuit is, since instead of using a single resistance, here a single resistance is being split up into two parts, R1, R2. And by properly tuning this R1 and R2, we can get a fixed voltage at this particular point. The voltage at this point will not fluctuate easily because we are having two resistors. When you are having two resistors, during that time, even when one is trying to fluctuate, other one is going to balance this voltage. So that's why this voltage divider circuit is going to maintain a constant base voltage. Base voltage when we talk with respect to voltage divider bias. Here it is going to maintain constant voltage. So now on seeing this circuit, can you tell me R1 and R2, are they in series or are they in parallel?
Parallel, sir.
Parallel, sir.
Okay. How do you tell it is parallel?
So because VCC and ground, we can connect it to one source itself. It will act like the same way.
Hmm.
And we are getting the voltage in middle, from the middle we are taking it out.
Middle, sir. Yes, sir.
So it won't be in
Compound in
series.
between that. So it can't be in series because
It will come
voltage
end to
varies
end
across
connected.
both the resistors.
Okay.
It will become end to end connected.
Good.
So since the voltage is common to both the resistors will have equal voltage drop since they are in parallel.
Yes, sir.
Both. That is not true. Both the resistance will not have equal voltage.
So when we connect VCC and ground to one source, the whole circuit becomes end to end connected, no, sir. So
Yes.
voltage drop across the two ends will be same.
See, but here, okay, simple will apply. Voltage drop between this is the potential difference between the two ends, right? I
Yes,
will
sir.
call
VCC
this
minus V.
VCC minus V naught. When I
Yeah.
talk with respect to the voltage across R2, V naught
V naught.
minus 0.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
The potential difference is not same across both of them. Even though they are parallel, but in this case, we are connecting plus VCC here. Okay, so the voltage across this R2 will be V naught minus 0. That is, it is V naught.
V naught.
Okay.
So then they won't be series nor parallel also.
Yeah,
Because condition for parallel is voltage drop across the two ends should be same.
yeah, voltage drop across the two ends should be same.
Yes,
See,
sir.
before connecting this plus VCC, see, usually how we will find the resistance is we are going to remove the voltage sources, right? That is
Yes,
how
sir.
in network analysis you have studied Thevenin's theorem. How you will do?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
You're going to
We'll
remove,
deactivate the
Deactivate the
sources.
sources.
deactivate the sources, and you are going to consider only the resistance.
Equivalent
So
resistance.
yeah.
Yes, sir.
So now, when you are going to find out the effective resistance value, then you are going to remove this. See, when you remove this, how they will be?
They'll act like ground.
Both will be like this. We can write it as R1.
Series, sir.
No,
No, it'll be parallel. So. Yes, sir.
this also be connected here, and we are going to get the output terminal here. So R1,
Parallel
R2,
to R2, sir.
right? So here
Yes, sir.
we are
Yes, sir.
going to get the effective
Resistance.
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 So this is how we are going to tell they are parallel to each other.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so they are actually
Okay, sir.
parallel to each other, but here since we are connecting it to plus VCC, we are going to get this difference in voltage. Okay, so the main idea here is, so if one of the resistance is going to fluctuate, other resistance is going to compensate it to balance the voltage. So based upon that, we can tell the voltage at this particular junction is constant. So we are going to utilize this advantage in our voltage divide in our biasing circuit. So for our biasing circuit, we are going to use this particular circuit. So again, go back to voltage divider bias. So in voltage divider bias, we are going to have two types of analysis. We are having, unlike other analysis, what we did in the three types of circuits. So here in this, we are going to have two types of analysis. So there we were applying just applying the KVL to the input circuit, and we are applying the KVL to the output circuit, and we are getting it. But here in this, we are having two methods. For analysis only, there are two methods. In exam, they can ask any of the two methods, and even in the problems based upon some conditions, which I will discuss it later while doing problems. Based upon that, we have to check the condition. If that condition satisfies, we can go for one kind of analysis. If that condition is not going to satisfy, we go for another type of analysis. So here we are having two types of analysis, as I told. One is the approximate analysis, and the other one is accurate analysis. So the main difference between this approximate analysis and accurate analysis is, in this approximate analysis, we are going to approximate that the base current, whatever is entering to the base terminal, is almost negligible. We are approximating the base current is zero, that is at almost it is negligible. That is the approximation what we are going to do. That's why the name approximate analysis. But when it comes to accurate analysis, we are not going to approximate anything. We are not going to consider, say, we usually take IE is equal to IB plus IC, and we consider that IE is approximately equal to IC, because we know that these two are in milli and this is in terms of micro. So since it is very, very less compared to these two, we can tell IE is approximately equal to IC. That is what the approximation. Here also the same thing. When IB is considered to be zero, then automatically what happens? IE and IC will be considered as approximately same, equal. So that kind of approximation, whatever we do in analysis, is known as approximate analysis. But when it comes to accurate analysis, we are not going to approximate anything. We try to find out the exact values. We are not going to take any approximate, average values. We are going to try to find exact values. So to find out that exact or accurate values, we here use Thevenin's theorem. So we are going to use Thevenin's theorem in accurate analysis. So that is the main difference between these two, approximate analysis and accurate analysis. So based upon the question in the exam, explain or derive the necessary expression for voltage divider bias using approximate analysis, then you need to derive the necessary equations by using approximate method. If they're asking, derive the expressions for different parameters of different parameters of the circuit using voltage divider bias accurate analysis, then we need to go for the accurate analysis method. By that method, whatever the values you'll be getting, that values you need to show. But approximate analysis and accurate analysis cannot be applied for all type of voltage divider biasing circuit. Especially approximate analysis. Accurate analysis we can apply, but approximate analysis cannot be applied for all type of voltage divider bias. There is a condition that needs to be satisfied. So if that condition is going to be satisfied, then only we are going to then only we can apply this approximate analysis for a given circuit. That I'll discuss while doing the problem. There is a small equation which is going to relate IB and IC values, and if that is going to satisfy, then we are going to we are able to apply the approximate analysis method. Otherwise, we need to apply accurate analysis method only. But in the problem, if they are not specifying anything, during that time you can apply any of this. But if you want to apply approximate analysis, you have to first check that condition what I told. So after checking that condition only we can apply. So we'll see that in the later stage. So now we'll begin with the approximate analysis. So in the approximate analysis, the main skeleton, that is transistor part, it will be as it is. So we'll be using common emitter configuration. We'll have emitter resistance, we'll have collector resistance, we'll have plus VCC. So now, if I'm going to connect like this, now tell me what kind of biasing technique is this?
Emitter stabilized bias.
Emitter stabilized.
Emitter stabilized.
Good. So this is emitter stabilized bias. So in emitter stabilized bias, what we had a single base resistance. This single base resistance is going to be splitted up into two parts, R1, R2, and we are going to have like this, R1, R2. So this is R1, R2. The combination of these two, how you can find out the effective resistance? If someone asks you what is the total input resistance here, how we can find?
R1 into R2 by R1 plus R2.
Yes, good. R1 into R2 by R1 plus R2. This is how we find out the effective resistance, and we can get a single resistance value. But to get the exact, I mean, in order to get a constant voltage at this particular point, we are going to use this kind of circuit. This portion, as I told, this portion is the voltage divider circuit. Since we are using this voltage divider circuit to connect it to or to bias a transistor, it is known as voltage divider bias. Okay, and usually I think if you can remember this circuit we have done already in the lab. Do you remember?
Yes, sir. For
Where
LDR.
we are done?
Yes, sir.
LDR, sir.
LDR.
LDR.
Yes, sir.
Then LDR. Then
So turning on LED using LDR, that experiment, sir.
only LDR. LDR fine, but we were using it in some more things, some more circuits.
Sir, photodiode, I guess. I'm not sure, but
Hmm.
in that circuit, I think we used similar.
Okay, then we had done some open-ended experiment. Anyone remembers that?
The amplifier.
Yes,
Feedback
sir.
and without feedback.
Amplifier. Feedback and
Hmm.
yes, sir.
So that is the circuit only we had done. In open-ended experiment, we had used this circuit only. So
Yes.
here, this part, here also we have, even though we are having approximate analysis, accurate analysis, those are the two methods we are having. In each method, again, for analysis purpose, we are going to split it up into two parts, the base circuit and the collector circuit. So let us begin with the base circuit or input circuit. And this is very, very important. Approximate or accurate analysis, one is 100% sure you'll be getting. Whatever we are doing it now, so 100% you'll get either a problem on this or derivation on this is 100%. So if you are perfect with this derivation, problems are easy. Just the same analysis we have to apply and we have to just substitute the values. But if you don't know how to apply the analysis method, so then you cannot solve any problem. Okay, now coming to the base circuit, so we are going to consider the base part, input circuit part, and obviously we need the transistor. So we are having the transistor part, and this is our R1, this is our R2, and here we are getting our plus VCC, and now the current which is flowing here, the current, obviously in DC analysis we are not going to connect the inputs current, that is AC, we are not going to give, only the main current which is coming is because of plus VCC. Now if I tell the current here is going to this is IB, and current which is going here is I. Now what is the current which is coming from R1?
IB plus I, sir.
Yeah. So the current which is flowing through this one is IB plus I. So at this part, when it comes to this point, they are going to split it up into two parts. IB goes here, I comes here. Okay. So now, in order to find the voltage across this point, so you can observe here the current, the voltage across this point is it mainly dependent upon R2 or is it dependent upon R1? Even though we tell that these two plays an important role in fixing up this voltage, but mainly this voltage is dependent upon R1 or R2.
So R2.
R2. How you can tell it is R2? Why not it is R1?
So IB is considerably small compared to I.
Okay, that is fine. We are talking about the voltage. I'm telling this voltage I am going to call it as VB. So I'm telling VB is
So
going
when
to.
we deactivate the voltage source, only R2 will be available, no, sir?
No, I will not deactivate. I have plus
Okay.
VCC with me. Now I want you to tell me whether this VB is dependent, mainly dependent upon R2 or
So
R1.
R2, sir.
R2.
Because voltage drop across R2 is VB only.
Okay, why not R1?
So R1, it'll
It
depend
will
on
be VB
VCC.
minus VCC. VB minus VCC, sir.
VB minus VC. VCC minus.
VCC minus VB, sir.
VCC VB minus VB. Yes,
Okay.
sorry.
So
Yes, sir.
the voltage across R1 will be VCC minus VB because we take the potential difference between the two ends. So here it is VCC, here it is VB. When I take the voltage across R2, it is VB minus 0. So here I have already told that the voltage at this point is known to be VB. So from this we came to know that the voltage what we are having here is the same voltage what is lying across R2. Okay. So the voltage across this point VB will be obtained by applying voltage divider rule to this particular circuit. So we know that voltage divider rule. So what is voltage divider rule? It is the, what is voltage divider rule?
Divides the voltage between the
Yeah,
Voltage
correct. But
into resistor divided by sum of resistors.
yeah, that is correct. But what is the formula for that? Voltage divider rule. When you apply it, what will be the formula, general formula?
The total voltage
Sir,
into the
I
opposite.
into resistor by total sum of resistors.
So here main supply. Main supply is VCC
VCC.
into,
R2 by R1 plus R2.
so into the resistance where we want to find the voltage. Which is the resistance we are going to find the voltage?
R2.
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 Okay.
R2, sir.
Divided by sum of the total resistance in that particular circuit. It is R1 plus R2. So this is how we find out base voltage. Now you can see that the base voltage is strictly dependent upon VCC, R2, R1, right? Do we have any term relating to beta?
No, sir.
No, right? So that means this base voltage is not dependent upon beta, even though you can change the transistor, then also the base voltage remains the same. Okay, so this is how we overcome the problem what we had in our previous case. So here the base voltage is not dependent upon any beta. So even though you can replace the transistor, it remains the same. Now the next part is applying the KVL to the output circuit. So coming to the output circuit, and you can ask me one question. So what about the base current? Here base current is assumed to be almost
Zero.
Zero.
Okay, it is very less because when we consider the current across R1 and R2, the current which is flowing to the transistor is very less. So in that case, we consider the current through R1 and R2 will be same. So the base current will be negligible, zero. So that's why we are only talking about the base voltage. Coming to the collector circuit, that is output circuit. Here, this is the RC and this is the IC, RE, IE. We are having between these two, we are having VCE. So now applying KVL to the outermost loop, we are having VCC minus ICRC minus VCE minus IE RE is equal to 0. Now, in order to find out, see, we know that since IB is 0, IB is approximated as 0, we take IC is approximately equal to IE. But for our to find out the Q point, obviously we need IC, right? Without IC, we cannot find the Q point.
Yes, sir.
So we need IC value. At least if you want, and usually we were finding out IC by taking IC is equal to beta times IB. Now in this kind of analysis, we are assuming, we are approximating the base current is almost zero. So that kind of method is ruled out. So the only available method is to find out IE. So when you find out IE, then you'll get IC. That method is still available with us. Now to find out IC, we need IE. Now to find out IE, what we are going to do is, we are going to use our basic formula VBE. VBE is what? Base to emitter voltage drop. What is VBE value usually?
VB.
No. For a silicon transistor, what is VBE? For germanium transistor, what is VBE?
0.7 or 0.3, sir.
Yes. See, this I have repeated several number of times in the beginning of the class only. Okay, in problems also, you have to take it directly. They'll just give you that. They'll not directly mention VBE value is 0.7. They'll tell for a silicon transistor base to amplifier. That means you have to understand that the base to emitter voltage is 0.7.
0.7.
That you should take it directly. So don't expect that it will be given in the question. So now, base to emitter voltage. See, how we'll be usually writing the equation? Potential difference. VB gives us, what does it VB gives us? It gives the potential difference between base and emitter,
Emitter.
right? So VB minus VE.
VE.
VB minus VE. See, simple way, if you want VCE, what is VCE? It is a potential difference between the collector and the
And emitter.
Emitter.
So VC minus VE. The first term comes first, second term comes second. That's it. This is a simple equations. Okay. Now, here, coming back to this, we already know what is VBE. We already know what is VB, right? We already found VB.
Yes, sir.
And
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
VB is standard value, what we know already, based upon whether it is a silicon or germanium, we know it already. So just rearrange the equation. We get VE is equal to VB minus VBE. And VBE, we know it already. Again, and VB also we know it already. And coming to VE. So V is what? Emitter voltage or voltage drop across emitter. How do
Emitter.
you find the voltage drop across this? Again, same. That the potential difference between this and this. If I'm going to call the voltage across this is VE, so what is the voltage across RE now?
V.
So V only, sir.
Right? Because VE
Yes.
minus 0, it is VE. Okay. So now, according to Ohm's law, can I write VE is equal to IE into
IE
RE?
by RE. IERE, yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now, coming to this, I'll just substitute IE RE is equal to VB minus VBE. So just rearrange this, you'll get an equation for IE, that is VB minus VBE by RE.
RE.
So this is how we obtained the equation for IE. Just you take this value here, you'll get an equation for IC, you get an equation for VCE, right? And since you know that IE and IC are almost same, so the equation for IC will also be VB minus VBE by RE, because IE is approximately equal to IC.
Yes, sir.
Okay, by rearranging this equation for VCE, we can obtain equation for VCE. So from this is how approximate analysis is done. In approximate analysis, we will not talk about base current because we assume it to be negligible. Okay, this is the method of approximate analysis. So if you know this derivations, equations, then you'll be done with the problems also. So it will be easy for you to do.